What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, this looks like this is going to be one of those years, man, where it's going to be especially bad as far as the notable people that we are going to lose. Other years in my lifetime where I recall this happening, 1989, probably 1994. 2003, 2009, 2016, and 2020. Um, so Shelley Duvall, best known for her performance as Wendy Torrance in The Shining, but of course in various other roles in her career, died overnight. She died in her sleep, according to her life partner. Um, she apparently died in her sleep due to complications of diabetes. She had been in very ill health over the past several years. There was a time when Shelley Duvall was an A-list actress in Hollywood, going back to the 70s and into the 1980s. But she retired from Hollywood sometime in the early 2000s, went back to Texas, and just disappeared, only to reappear, I think it was back in 2016, on Dr. Phil's show, where she looked totally different from the image that we remember her for, looking, young and waifish. She was much heavier, disheveled, didn't like she really took care of herself, um, and supposedly living in squalor. And more importantly than that, she was suffering from untreated severe mental health issues, which a lot of people turned on Dr. Phil because it looked like he was basically profiting off of her mental health issues. Now, she did seem like she got some help for her mental health issues. As a matter of fact, she came out of retirement a couple of years ago to star in a horror movie, which I can't quite remember the name of. I think it was something like The Hillside or something. Uh, she played the antagonist in that movie. But she passed away last night or overnight, maybe this morning. But she had just had a birthday about 3 or 4 days ago. So this is a little bit shocking. I mean, I knew she was in bad health, but I didn't know that she was in that bad a state. But anyway, she was a longtime protege of director Robert Altman. I think it was Robert Altman that directed the MASH movie back in 1970, which of course uh, Donald Sutherland recently passed away. Donald Sutherland played Hawkeye Pierce in the movie adaptation. Of course, it was Alan Alda who played Hawkeye in the TV series. Um, I remember Shelley Duvall primarily for The Shining, although she was in many different Robert Altman projects. I think 7 or 8 of them. But I remember her distinctly for The Shining. That was probably her signature role. Although director Stanley Kubrick, who directed that movie, pushed her to the limits of human uh, endurance and capacity. I think the scene where she's swinging the bat at Jack Nicholson, who played Jack Torrance in that movie, he had her do like 120 something takes for that movie. He had her listen to sad music all day to put her into a state of depression uh, during the film of that movie. And I think they filmed over a course of a year. So she really was, I think, never the same after she did that movie. And I wouldn't be surprised if that contributed to her later mental health issues. Um, but of course, that's one of the great movies of all time, The Shining. Uh, it was almost immediately after that movie that she was cast as Olive Oyl in the live adaptation of Popeye, which also starred the late Robin Williams. And that movie was commercially uh, panned well, I shouldn't say commercially. I should say it was universally, almost universally panned by critics, but it was a commercial success. But then afterwards, she still starred in movies. I remember her playing in Roxanne with Steve Martin. I think it came out like in 1987. But then during the late 80s into the 90s, I remember her producing like a lot of kids programming. Like I can't remember whether it was on TV or whether it was almost like these tapes that you could buy. I forgot, but I know she did a lot of television. I think it was television program, not mistaken, for kids. And still, from time to time, she would do movies, but for the most part, I saw her in independent movies in the 90s, in smaller roles. And I just think she probably just fell out of favor with Hollywood as she got older. And I suspect other things as well. But, I think there's a definite correlation between the mental health issues she suffered after The Shining, and especially after age 45 and 50, and with what happened to her in Hollywood. But she was one of the nice people, man, of what I could gather. Man. She seemed like she was a sweetheart, really, really nice. And her career was almost an accident. She didn't have any aspirations to be an actress. I think she had aspirations to be a model when she was younger, like in the early 70s. And I think what happened was staffers for Robert Altman saw her, I think like in a mall. Might have been a mall in Texas or something. And they saw her and saw that she had a unique look. And they had her audition for movies or audition for different parts. And I think she got her first part in 1970 when she was 20 years old, 21, I guess 20 since it came out in 1970, probably filmed in 69 maybe. So she was probably 20. And like I said, she was in a lot of different movies in the 70s into early 80s. And I always liked her, Um, but man, rest in peace, Shelley Duvall.